This story begins with a party trying to defeat a massive boar in hopes of increasing their rankings to C rank. After working well together, they were able to take down the monster in no time. As everyone starts to celebrate, the group goes ahead and tells the protagonist of the story, Lars, that he is now fired from the party. This shocked him, as he always thought that they were in this together, considering their 3-year relationship as a group. However, the party didn't even hesitate to tell him that he is not just good for them since, compared to everyone, Lars is still a second-rate warrior, even after 3 years of working as an adventurer, and all that he is good at is dodging and being a decoy for the group. So, in short, the group is simply telling him that he is just holding them back from reaching the top. Although this is so heartbreaking for Lars to hear, knowing that there is nothing he can do anymore, he just accepted his fate and left the party as his ex-comrades wanted him to. Without any party to be in, Lars decided to head back to the Adventurers Guild to plan his next move. On his way there, he can't seem to wonder about how naive he is for thinking that those people were his friends. Although he is aware of the fact that he is having a hard time improving his stamina and strength, Lars knows that he still tried his best to be useful by carrying their luggage or acting as a diversion. Despite that, they don't seem to appreciate him at all. With this, Lars decided to look for a new job without requiring to be in a group. With the help of the guild's receptionist, Lars was hoping he'd be able to find a job perfect for him. Since it has been 3 years since Lars registered with the guild, the receptionist suggested that he should look at his job suitability to be able to find the perfect job. However, Lars looks unfamiliar with this, making the receptionist wonder if he took the aptitude test before joining. As soon as Lars revealed that he didn't, the receptionist didn't even hesitate and immediately took Lars to a room where he would conduct his first-ever aptitude test. With the help of a priest, Lars was asked to place his hands on the crystal ball to see what type of skill he has, whether it be rare or not. Quite fascinated to know what it is, Lars immediately does as the priest says. After seconds of waiting, both the receptionist and the priest were shocked when they saw Lars's findings. As it turned out, Lars was actually most suited to magic. But what really makes this all shocking is the fact that his compatibility is known as the highest rank. Confused about what's going on, Lars couldn't even understand how important this finding is to his career as an adventurer. Moments later, the guild master even went on to meet with him, apologizing for forgetting to test his aptitude 3 years ago. Since this news is such a big deal, the guild master informs Lars that starting from now on, he will be attending the Magic Guild, since they will be able to teach him how to be a top-class mage in no time. At this point, Lars couldn't even believe everything, since it was never in his bingo card to know he was actually the highest-ranking magic dweller in the world. According to the guild, a clerical error from 3 years ago had registered him as a warrior instead of a mage. Although this news made him nervous, he also can't help but feel relieved since being a mage could support him for life. After walking for a while, he soon arrived at the Magic Guild, creaking open the door to find a place that looked more like a church than anything else. While Lars was still adjusting to the surroundings, a serious-looking girl approached and called him the Platinum Boy. Her stern tone and expression made Lars feel unwelcome, as if she already disliked him. The girl introduced herself as the guild's priest and bluntly said she didn't think he deserved the Platinum title. To verify his skills, she decided to test him first. Without much of a warm-up, she dragged him to the training grounds and asked him to shoot at the scattered dummies using magic. Lars protested as he never casted a spell before, but since she insisted for him to do so, he had no choice but to obey. Though frustrated, especially from remembering how his old party had tossed him aside, Lars followed the girl's order. As the girl showed him how to cast a basic fireball, Lars focused hard. When he finally had the grasp of everything, he gathered his flame, shaped it, and sized up the target. Suddenly, strange sensations coursed through him, as if his blood was surging out of his fingertips. Then with a loud rumble, an enormous fireball exploded from his hands, obliterating the training area entirely. The girl trembled in disbelief, while Lars was equally stunned. He was confused since all he did was only copy her movements and he hadn't expected to nearly destroy the guild. She quickly told him to lower the spell's intensity before it caused more damage. Even other adventurers rushed in, thinking a bomb had gone off. At this point, the same priest who doubted him was suddenly in awe, praising his strength and calling him a potential great sage. To hide how embarrassed she felt for judging him earlier, she urged Lars to sign a few papers to make his guild membership official. Everything was moving so fast, but for the first time, Lars felt powerful. Though he had no clue what being a platinum or great sage meant, he eagerly signed the contract, officially switching from warrior to mage. He was told to return in 3 days, not for more paperwork, but to meet his mentor. Moments later, a navy-haired beauty appeared before him and introduced herself as his guide. Lars, still overwhelmed, now faced a new chapter in his magical journey. Lars thought that he wouldn't have to interact with anyone anymore now that he works as a mage. But with Tesla coming into the picture, stating that she would be his mentor from now on, Lars has no other choice but to follow each of her orders. However, things become more confusing for Lars when the girl priest goes on to push around Tesla, telling her that she should be straightforward with him. Then, seconds later, Tesla goes on to invite Lars to join her party, stating that she needs him to be part of it. Shocked, considering joining a party was not part of his plans anymore, Lars was speechless as he listened to the girls discussing with each other. The priest girl then pats Lars on the shoulder, telling him that since he is still a recruit, he still needs someone to show him the ropes and how things work around here. So with Tesla's help, he would be able to learn everything in no time. After their short meeting, Lars finally received his cape, marking that his guild registration is now complete. But before starting, the girl priest informs him that all of the mages in the guild are divided up into ranks, which are marked by the color of their cape. Tesla has a black cape, which proves to other mages that she is an S rank, which is the highest rank in the guild right now. After hearing that, Lars was a bit surprised that such a tiny girl is actually that strong. Feeling a bit offended, Tesla immediately looked at Lars with glaring eyes, telling him that he shouldn't judge someone just by their appearance. Now that he has already opened up the conversation, Tesla goes on to express that she is pretty curious to know more about him. Witnessing how Lars cast that spell, Tesla is certain that the explosion he did last time wasn't just any normal fireball. Quite embarrassed at the thought that Tesla actually saw that happening, before diving too deep into it, Tesla excuses herself and Lars, and finally says goodbye to the priest girl, whose name turns out to be Holly. Now that Lars is officially a member, Tesla thought that finding a job for him was the best thing to do. After scanning through the board, Tesla managed to find an amazing quest she thinks is perfect for them to do. But as soon as Lars saw it, he was stunned to see that Tesla wanted him to defeat a forest dragon on his first day. However, instead of taking that into consideration, Tesla just went ahead and nonchalantly assured Lars that he should be fine since she'll be with him the whole time. Besides, fighting off such monsters should be extremely easy for S-rank mages like Tesla. With this, Lars had no other reason to back out anymore. On their way to see the client, Tesla asks Lars first if he knows anything about the magic system. Since this was his first time working in such a field, Lars immediately told Tesla that he had never heard of such a thing at all. So Tesla went on to explain to him that magic system is the most important thing that all mages should know. So to fully grasp what it is, Tesla asks Lars to sit down and close his eyes to be aware of the magic power inside him. While doing so, Lars was also asked to imagine his blood flowing through his body while focusing on each cell. After doing as Tesla told him to, he can finally feel himself getting warm. During this time, he should feel the magic already flowing through his entire body. As the strong current of the magic starts to rush to his core, Lars starts to feel like he is going to pass out any minute now. Tesla decided to give him a hand by putting her hand on his back. Doing so enabled Tesla to see that Lars is gathering too much power. To help him a little, Tesla asks Lars to now imagine sweating every inch of this power out of his body. Surprisingly, although Lars ended up releasing a little amount of it, it was so strong that even Tesla was taken aback a little. Upon witnessing this in person, Tesla couldn't even deny the fact that Lars indeed has tremendous power that is far stronger compared to what she has. While Tesla is feeling somewhat down, Lars is extremely happy that his body is feeling so light now. Usually, gathering magic power is supposed to make one stronger, but it looks like since Lars had so much, it made him weaker instead. So with this, the reason why he never really got any stronger even after training was because he had too much magic. He never really thought that the reason he was so weak was that he had too much magical power. At this point, he can't help but laugh at himself for wasting 3 years of his life trying so hard, even though he was already that strong inside. Seeing how down Lars feels right now, Tesla immediately assures him that it is not too late to showcase his real power. She even sees the situation as a blessing in disguise, since Lars was able to spend 3 years of his life as a warrior. Knowing that there will be times when strength is needed over ability, Tesla is certain that Lars' training will be of great use in the future. Aside from that, with his unique warrior training, he'll be able to become even more powerful. The only thing he needs to do now is believe in his potential. After hearing Tesla say this, Lars feels relieved and reassured that those 3 years weren't a waste after all. Now that it's already done, Tesla and Lars finally went ahead and started their journey to take down that dragon. After traveling for a few hours or so, they finally made it to the village of Tatch. There, they were able to meet with the client, who also requested them to look for a party that's gone missing, in addition to taking down the dragon. According to the client, the party he sent earlier to observe the dragon still hasn't returned. To his defense, he was in a hurry to protect the village's herb supply, so he asked them directly instead of going through the guild. However, doing so would really get this man in trouble once the guild found out he kept this from them. So to be of help, even for a bit, Tesla asks the client if he knows the party's name or rank so that they can easily identify them. Surprisingly, the client actually asks Lars's ex-party, the Salt Wings, to do the job, which shocked Lars so much. As the client kept on describing the group, Lars finally confirmed that it was indeed his old party. Although Lars doesn't want to see his ex-party anytime soon, he has no choice but to help save them, or else they'd get eaten by the dragon. To easily do the job, Tesla decided to cast a spell, creating a massive golem that would help them trace the scene of Lars' ex-party members. With just one sniff, the golem was able to immediately find the group's whereabouts. As they ran as fast as they could, Lars looked rather exhausted since his body hadn't been strengthened yet. Realizing that she hadn't taught him that yet, Tesla guided Lars along the way, telling him to concentrate hard on the flow of his magic power. While he does this, he also needs to slowly speed up the flow. As it begins to flow freely, Lars should imagine making it explode out. Despite his body probably feeling as if it's burning up, it's actually for a good reason. Once Lars feels this kind of sensation, Tesla tells him to lightly jump, and to Lars' surprise, his body becomes light that even jumping lightly can cause him to hop 6 meters from the ground. Quite fascinated by his newfound skill, his curiosity was cut short when they finally heard a rustling sound from afar. To their surprise, it's none other than the dragon they were planning to take down. The creature was so huge, and based on its size, it must be about 1,000 years old already. Despite that, instead of feeling scared, Tesla even nonchalantly asks Lars if he is ready to take it down already. Frightened for his life, Lars suggested that they should find the party first. However, Tesla preferred taking down the dragon first since this is their main task, after all. Without hesitation, Tesla immediately cast her spells, telling Lars that she plans on stopping the monster from moving first. With the use of her staff, Tesla effortlessly cast a deadly spell, summoning the 7 demons to take down this creature. But with Lars' amazing and powerful lightning spell, the two were able to finish off this dragon in no time. Immediately right after Lars cast it, the dragon took a massive hit, ultimately causing it to fall from its perch. After realizing that he managed to take down a dragon, Lars was so speechless, just thinking about the fact that his magic powers are indeed real and powerful. On the other hand, Tesla looks rather serious, quite relieved that she chose the right assignment for Lars' training, since she knows that if she chose something more difficult, it would have ended badly for them, especially Lars. As soon as Tesla confirmed that the dragon was already dead, she was a bit stressed out when she found out that this creature was actually a female. If their theory about this dragon being 1,000 years old and above, then Tesla is certain that this creature is not alone and definitely has a mate. And just as she expected, another rustling sound and a loud roar started echoing through the forest. But before the big fight, Lars is seen having the hardest fight with himself, trying not to look at Tesla's S-rank black undies. To avoid getting punched in the face, Lars immediately avoided Tesla's gaze and went on to divert his attention. With the dragon coming their way, Tesla goes on to inform Lars that a male dragon like this is weaker than a female one. However, what they lack in strength, they make up for with perceptiveness, making them a tricky opponent to take down. That is why the two need to really be cautious with their moves, or else this might be the end for them. To ensure that they attack at the perfect time, Lars and Tesla wait for the monster to come down. Based on how it looks, this monster is trying to prevent them from finding its den, which is a natural instinct since dragons are known to be very vigilant. So there is a big chance that if Lars' former party caught sight of treasure and entered the dragon's den, that would be really bad, since the dragon may have already trapped them inside. Knowing those guys, Lars was frustrated thinking that those brainless ex-members of his could definitely have gone in. Moments later, the golem finally informs the two that he has found the dragon's den, which is only up ahead where they are now. Surprisingly, the cave where the golem takes them has traces of Lars' ex-party scent. Now that they are finally here, Lars suggested that he should be the one operating the magic torch. However, Tesla stops him from doing so since he is still unable to regulate the strength of his spells. Knowing how fragile this cave is, Tesla would not risk it at all. After all, Lars' power might cause the whole place to crumble. As they finally enter the cave, Lars is quite fascinated looking at how amazing the dragon's den is. But despite how beautiful it is, Tesla reminds him to watch his step, as he might end up dead in no time. The timing couldn't even be more perfect, since as soon as Tesla said those things, Lars almost fell into a pit that's so deep, he couldn't even see the end. But to make things more challenging for Lars, it turns out that for them to cross the cliff, they need to pass through a very thin rope. While Tesla is having no hard time doing so, Lars looks like he is fighting for his dear life. So, to make things easier, Tesla decided to just carry Lars to the other side. Based on how the surroundings look, Tesla is certain that Lars' ex-party should be inside and is still alive. As they rushed inside an opening, they were shocked by the number of treasures found inside. Just as Tesla expected, Lars' ex-comrades are indeed here. Upon hearing the two entering, the party was immediately in wonder if someone had come to save them. They start to feel relieved by the thought until they see Lars. Confused about what was happening, Tesla decided to explain to them that they had come here to defeat the dragon and that looking for the party was their second priority. Of course, it was only natural for the group not to take this seriously, especially with Lars being around. Thinking that this must be some kind of a prank, Lars couldn't take how the group was still laughing at him, calling him weak. However, instead of letting his emotions take over, Lars decided to stay quiet and just let the group say what they wanted to say. Since they have no more time to spare, Tesla makes the group follow her so that they can't finally leave this place. However, one of Lars' ex-comrades starts to have so many questions regarding what they should do next, considering the dragon is still flying freely outside. As soon as Tesla assured them that she or Lars would take it down in case it attacked, the group couldn't easily believe that Lars was that strong for him to be able to take down a monster. So just like usual, they went on to order Lars around and told him to go out first to check if the coast was clear. So if it looks safe, the group will follow after him just like old times. Hearing this made Lars realize that these guys haven't changed a bit. Knowing that they will not move unless he does what they say, Lars was ready to go out. However, before he could even step outside, Tesla stops him from doing so and asks the group if they are planning to sacrifice their old friend just to be safe. One of the members then reasoned out that since Lars is a man, he should go first and see if the place is safe. However, Tesla was quick to shut them down, telling them that Rain, the leader of the group, should also go outside since he is also a man. The other members were quick to defend him, stating that Rain is an important member of the party, which is why he should be kept safe at all times. At this point, it is so clear that the members are merely coming up with reasons to use Lars as their decoy. Then one of the members ended up openly stating that they see Lars as someone weak, and that being a decoy is the only thing he is good for. However, with such a serious tone, Tesla tells everyone that Lars isn't that weak, adding that there's a world of difference between them and Lars, and that they should be aware of their words. But since they only saw Lars during his warrior days, the group was so confident that Tesla was just embarrassing herself by depending on such a weakling. After all that Lars could do during his time at the party was carry their luggage. Although this might be the case back when Lars was still a warrior, now that he is a mage, Tesla knows well that no one can compare to him anymore. Hearing Tesla call Lars a mage shocks everyone since, for the longest time now, they have known Lars as someone incapable of becoming a warrior, let alone becoming a powerful mage. The group's reaction clearly shows that no matter what, they will always judge him for his past and his strength. For the first time in his life, Lars decided to step up and defend himself from these bullies, telling them to stop judging people based on their strengths. He even added that nobody really cares about ranks and that no matter what they say, he will always love himself for being true. While Lars is having his own main character moment, causing everyone to feel a bit embarrassed for their behavior, the massive dragon appears out of nowhere, completely shocking the group. As Lars' ex-comrades ran away for safety, Lars himself was a bit stunned since he didn't even notice the monster coming in at all. Since this is their perfect chance to finally take down this monster, Tesla tells him to go on and fight it already with his fireball and lightning magic. But before going all in, Tesla reminds him to be careful not to collapse the cave around them. Since this is his first time fighting alone without Tesla's help, Lars locks his mind up. Now that Lars is already focused, Tesla starts acting all shy as she whispers an apology for speaking up for him in front of the others earlier. Although for Lars, that was not such a big deal at all. But since Tesla is now saying sorry with such a cutest expression ever, Lars can't help but feel touched and eventually start blushing. Aside from apologizing, Tesla also tells him that this is the perfect time for him to show off to those ex-comrades of his what great power he actually has. With Tesla's encouraging words, Lars is now more motivated to show off his true skills to the people who doubted him before. Concentrating every bit of energy to his core, Lars slowly powers up his whole body. With the concentrated magic now getting isolated on his palms with just one punch, Lars managed to knock down the dragon in no time. Seeing this in person shocked everyone, to the point that Rain almost fainted in disbelief. During this time, it's starting to sink in with Lars what it truly feels like being a person with such magical powers. As the fight continues, Lars really tries his best to ensure that this monster doesn't see daylight again. But just as expected, the dragon itself has strong abilities that could even blow away all the treasures inside this den. Despite the challenge, Lars still kept his head up and really went in, fighting the dragon closely. He thought that everything was already under control until the dragon started using its tail to attack. Fortunately, because of Lars's magic, he was able to strengthen his body before the impact, or else that attack would have shattered his bones into pieces. While Lars is busy saving all of his wimpy ex-comrades, the group couldn't seem to believe that this is the same Lars they know. As the fight continues to intensify, the dragon is now getting more agitated than before. When he started blowing off fire attacks instead of dodging, Tesla stayed still, causing Lars to worry a little. Although she could easily do something about it, Tesla decided not to move at all, as she had already promised she'd leave everything to Lars from now on. That is why, no matter how grave the situation could get, she will not do anything, not even cast any defensive spells. At this point, Lars finally realized that Tesla is really serious about what she said. Because of the assurance and trust Tesla has in him, Lars now has more reason not to give up. As the dragon keeps on releasing spells that are directly hitting Tesla, Lars now needs to really think fast. Since he can't use big spells as it might cause the whole place to collapse, Lars is wondering what he should do next. After much thinking, he finally had a plan in mind. He thought that if he couldn't blow this dragon away from the outside, then he had no choice but to get closer and light him up from the inside. This is such a risky plan, but Lars is in for it, as long as he defeats this monster as soon as possible. As soon as Lars's punch landed on the creature's belly, it roared so loudly because of the pain. Moments later, it ended up stumbling to the ground, finally giving Lars that sense of relief. Meanwhile, Tesla can't deny how smart Lars' move earlier was. The way that he adjusted his fighting style to this small area is indeed amazing. Although Lars was still unable to regulate the strength of his spell, the fight was still a job well done for Tesla. Since taking down a dragon is such a great feat for mages, Lars can now be called the one and only Dragon Slayer. Quite shy about it, Lars starts blushing as soon as Tesla starts complimenting him. He even denies that he is that strong, stating that he still has a long way to go as he doesn't know how to fight or use magic properly yet. That is why Tesla promises to train him properly as soon as they arrive at the guild. Meanwhile, the other girls start rushing towards him, shoving their bodies while telling him that he was so cool this whole time. Just as embarrassing as it may sound, one of the members even shamelessly asks him to join the party again if he wants to. Even to this point, the only thing that's inside the group's mind is the rankings. After witnessing how good and strong Lars is, they are certain that they could probably go all the way to S rank with this. However, Lars was quick to tell them that he could never go back, since things would be far different this time. The members still tried to convince him, stating that he could have an even share of the cut and wouldn't do the group's chores. However, since Lars has already joined the Magic Guild, it's already too late for him to rejoin the party. More importantly, he also doesn't want to go back to a party that treated him so badly. One of the members immediately defended themselves, stating that they had no choice back then. With Lars not even able to hold his own sword in a fight, it was obvious why the group treated him like an outsider. However, now that they know how strong Lars is, they want to throw all the issues under the bridge. They were so eager to let Lars join again that they even tried to seduce him to make him agree. But none of those things work since Lars has already decided. Because of this, the girls really tried their best to gaslight Lars into thinking that he owes them for even asking him to rejoin. Already having had enough of the girls' immaturity, Tesla goes on to tell Lars not to talk to these people anymore. Since they still need to work, Tesla tells Lars that they should just collect their treasure and get out of this den as soon as possible. Rain was quick to stop Tesla from doing so, warning her that since they were here first, this treasure should be theirs as well. However, the group really got it all wrong, since according to Tesla, a dragon's treasure is so special that only the person who defeats it has the privilege of taking it. Before Tesla even realized it, a new member of the party suddenly appeared out of nowhere, ready to murder her if she didn't let them take the treasure. But Tesla doesn't even need to move an inch anymore since the guard of the treasures has already taken care of the enemies. While the new member and Rain are getting drugged across the room, Tesla realizes that the knife the new member was holding is actually poisonous. Just thinking how cruel and greedy his past members are, Lars couldn't stop himself from crying. He feels so disappointed in himself for staying friends with such cruel people. That is why Tesla goes on to ask him what he wants to do with them. Does he want to pay them back for how they treated him? Although they are all pathetic, Lars doesn't really have the energy to waste on them. To make Lars feel a little better, Tesla tried to comfort him by assuring him that there is nothing wrong with trusting people. When she first met him, she admitted that she was interested only in the strong magic power he had hidden inside. But now, what interests her is Lars's ability to trust people. For the longest time now, Tesla has really had a hard time getting involved with other people, as it always frightens her. That is why, when Lars came into her life, she didn't even mind having him as her partner. After that quite exhausting adventure, Lars and Tesla finally make their way back to the guild. On their way there, Tesla suggested that Lars should use the money he would earn from the treasure to buy some enchanted equipment he could use in the future. This said equipment is very useful for mages as they are necessary for controlling one's magic power. Because of too much exhaustion, the last word that Tesla said before she fell asleep was that Lars should also buy a house where he could rest and replenish his magic. Now that she has mentioned it, just thinking about a house is quite expensive. After traveling for a couple of hours, the two finally made it to the guild, where Holly greeted them. Holly was quite surprised to see that Tesla's clothes were actually tattered to pieces, to which Lars explained that it happened because he was such a burden. But more than that, Lars also expresses that he is not sure how he would feel about turning in his former friends. At the very least, the Adventurers Guild Master promised Lars he'd be lenient with them, which is such a relief for Lars. Even though it's already been resolved, Lars still feels a little worried for his ex-comrades. But aside from the friendship breakup Lars had, Holly is quite excited about the treasure Lars managed to acquire. Based on her computation, the total amount of these treasures should be about 400 million in total, which shocked Lars since this amount would have taken him 100 years to obtain as a warrior. With Lars' power now, Tesla is certain that he'll be able to make even more in the future, even more than what noble families have. Just imagining it almost makes Lars faint in disbelief. With that being said, since Lars has proved his power once again, Holly delightfully promoted him to rank E. As he finally got his hands on his new cloak, Lars couldn't even believe that this was true. Back when he was in the Adventurers Guild, it took him more than half a year to reach rank E. So even though this is such great news, Lars decided to return the cloak, telling Holly that he just finished his first request and still doesn't think that he is ready for such a promotion just yet. Although this is such a modest move for Lars to make, it was already expected by Tesla since he has gone through quite a lot as well. After all, a mage who is modest and timid will live longer anyway, considering there's no reward for overconfidence. Aside from that, Lars also explains that he has really taken a liking to this white cape, which is why he wants to fight wearing this one a little longer to ensure he doesn't forget where he came from. With this, Holly finally understands where Lars is coming from. So for now, she decided to just discuss Lars' rank with the higher-ups so that he can keep that white coat of his for now. Holly couldn't even hide her amazement since Lars is the first one she has ever met to actually refuse a promotion. But this kind of behavior was already expected from someone like Lars. After their short meeting in the guild, the two decided to finally head home. However, Tesla somehow noticed how occupied Lars is, so she went on to ask him what's wrong. As it turned out, Lars is still in disbelief that he actually has 400 million worth of money, something that he couldn't even get his hands on before. Now that he has already put 300 of it in the bank, with 100 million on hand, Tesla suggested that they should go buy some enchanted items, since Lars will pretty much need at least that much money to buy such items. Surprisingly, as they finally got to the place where enchanted items were supposed to be made, Lars was a bit stunned since the surroundings where the store is look suspicious. To make it more confusing to him, Tesla ended up bringing him to a dead-end alleyway where she then knocked on the floor using her staff, revealing a secret stairway leading them to an underground shop. To Lars' surprise, there was a whole shop hiding below the ground filled with so much stuff. Then moments later, a witch-looking woman goes on to greet them, quite excited to see Tesla again. After a while, the woman suddenly takes notice of Lars, who looks a little frightened, hiding behind Tesla. Tesla immediately introduced him to her, stating that he is her new pupil who recently joined the guild. The woman then introduced herself as Rodri, the owner of this shop. To avoid wasting time, Tesla immediately told Rodri that they are planning to buy some enchanted items for Lars, something that can handle strong magic. After checking most of her items, Rodri laid out all the high-ranking items she had. These items are said to control how one's magic power flows, so she really suggests that Lars examine them very carefully. However, after checking each item, Lars was a bit shy to tell Rodri that none of the items seemed to be controlling his magic power at all. So, without a choice, Tesla told Rodri that she should just show him the highest item she has. Now this shocked Rodri to the core, as she had never shown anyone the moon ring before. Although this is quite nerve-wracking even for Rodri, Tesla insisted that they should at least give it a try. Eventually, Rodri ends up giving Lars the moon ring, stating that this item belonged to the first great sage. After hearing so, Lars was a bit hesitant to even try it, but Rodri insisted on letting him wear it since she believed it was now Lars' time to shine. According to her, there have been countless mages who couldn't handle this ring's powers, as this ring is incredibly valuable and strong, so she is hoping Lars will be able to do it. Lars already had an idea about the first great sage since Holly once mentioned it to him before. Based on what he remembers, the sage overcame calamity and founded the Magic Guild, making him a legendary figure. Wearing his ring now also gave Lars the first-hand experience of how strong the first sage is. At this point, his power is swirling around so calmly, which Lars finds really amazing. While Lars is quite enjoying every second of this moment, Rodri is crying in shock as she can't believe that she'll live up to the moment that someone can actually use the first great sage's relic. Seeing how calmly and joyfully Lars uses the ring, Tesla is now really convinced that Lars' abilities are definitely platinum level. For the longest time now, mages have had a very long history, but only a few have ever reached platinum. At any rate, Lars will definitely be a big help to the Magic Guild if his power continues to grow. With this, Rodri couldn't even hide the fact that she was so glad that she was able to live long enough to meet someone worthy of becoming the next great sage. Without any doubt, she is certain that Lars will definitely be able to reach that level with this ring, so she encourages him to stay devoted no matter what. Since she had quite grown fond of him, Rodri decided to sell this ring for only 20 million ruts, making Lars quite speechless. To Rodri's defense, normally, she wouldn't sell something like this to anyone at all. That is why, instead of selling it at its original price, Rodri decided to give this item to Lars at a special price since he is actually able to use it. But aside from the ring, Rodri also decided to give Lars a magic egg as a gift. She then told him to take care of it by giving it some of his magic 3 times a day. Based on the quality of the magic it receives, the type of creature that's born will change. Hearing this made Lars excited to know what creature this egg will bear, and with the quality of magic Lars has, even Rodri is looking forward to it. After going to the secret shop, Lars and Tesla eventually left with Lars still blushing at the thought that the first sage's ring is now in his possession. But before heading home, Tesla told Lars that they should buy some clothes first, to which Lars immediately stated that he is fine with the clothes he has now. However, Tesla was so cruel with her words as she went on to openly state that she found Lars's outfit looking so rugged. Being the environmentalist person that he is, Lars flusteredly stated that he doesn't need any new clothes now. However, despite his efforts to explain, Tesla is so determined to take him shopping no matter what. Without even realizing it, Tesla ended up holding Lars's hand so tightly that they both ended up blushing. Moments later, they eventually passed through the busiest part of the market, where Tesla ended up almost buying every item in each stall. Realizing that Lars is now struggling to carry every box and shopping bag, Tesla tries to explain herself, stating that just like any other girl in town, she also likes to buy things on an impulse. On top of that, she also thinks that going shopping is great strength training for Lars, especially in practicing his balance. After hours of walking, Tesla decided to let Lars rest for a bit, and while they were sitting on a bench in the park, Tesla shyly opened up about the house she was talking about back in the wagon. Thinking about the fact that she actually asked Lars to buy them a house, Tesla explained that she just impulsively stated those things because, in order to recover their magic power, it's normal for a party of mages to live together. Tesla has always been working solo, so she never had the chance to live with other mages, but she thinks Lars should stop staying in cheap lodging and get a proper home. Although Lars has no problem with it, Tesla finds herself a bit pitiful for even asking Lars such a thing, even though they are not officially a party. So, to make things official, since Lars' trial period is over, Tesla gathered up all her courage to ask Lars if he wanted to form a party with her. Without hesitation, Lars joyfully accepted her request as he himself wanted to make Tesla his forever mentor, which is something that makes Tesla both happy and scared. Fast forward, the day after Lars acquired the moon ring which allowed him to control his powers, it was time to begin Tesla's training. It is known that mages are able to use 7 main types of magic. There is fire, water, earth, wind, light, darkness, and last but not least, non-elemental. Generally, there is no catch-all knowledge, and mages can freely choose which attribute they want to use. For reasons not clear to Lars, mages seem to know which type is best for them on an instinctual level. In addition to learning the basics of using magic, Lars also learned about magic itself, famous mages, and magic history. 1 month later, Tesla decided to take him somewhere he wasn't expecting. As it turns out, Tesla actually took him to the old Magic Guild training grounds. With them finally arriving here, Tesla tells Lars that today marks the real training. On top of that, before he officially started the training, she went on to inform him about the conditions she wanted him to understand. Since Lars only just recently awakened his powers, knowing that there is still a lot he doesn't know, Tesla asks him what it is that he truly wants to do and how he wants to use his powers to achieve it. Tesla wanted him to be clear with his goals, whether it is for him to become a hero or a great sage. But just as expected, Lars still doesn't know what to do himself. So Tesla reminded him that he should know it soon, since that knowledge is something that he will need in the future. After all, for Lars to truly know the essence of a mage's existence, he first needed to ensure that he figured out what he wanted for himself so that he would know what kind of mage he intended to become. With that being said, as the training starts, Tesla informs Lars that she has laid various traps between the starting point and the goal. On top of that, one golem is also waiting for him in the end, so he should have enough time to figure out how he will defeat it. Now that Tesla had finally given him all the information he needed, Lars finally went ahead and started moving forward. With his mind preoccupied with what Tesla asked him a while ago, he starts to wonder to himself what he actually really wants. Then, before he realized it, he accidentally activated a trap that shoots an arrow, ending up with him receiving a cut on his face. Realizing that he could get seriously injured if he is not careful, Lars strengthens his body, buffing it to ensure that no matter how many traps he comes across, he will be safe till he reaches the end. Remembering what Tesla said about his power causing him to lose focus, Lars has now decided not to let anything stand in his way at all. Motivated to give Tesla an answer she's satisfied with, Lars really moved faster than lightning as the traps started to activate. Although he did acquire a few injuries here and there, he still managed to make it far. Even after strengthening his body, he is still completely out of breath. At this point, he starts to realize that his lack of fitness is another obstacle he'll need to work on. But now, all that's inside his mind is to destroy the traps before he steps on one of them again. Since magic types are instinctual, Lars decided to use his instinct to generate the magic he thinks is perfect to use in this kind of situation. Since fire magic is the first one that came to his mind, he ended up creating a fire sword, which he plans to use as his weapon. Knowing that the moon ring can sense the amount of magic power he can control in his body, Lars concentrates as much as he can. Then, all of a sudden, more traps started activating, causing Lars to panic a little. But after a while, he managed to get hold of it using his fire sword. After a few minutes of constantly attacking him, the trap stops all of a sudden, making Lars wonder for a bit. Now that he thinks about it, the trap started attacking when he was charging up his magic, which made him realize that these traps are probably reacting to his sword. Although in doubt at first, but when he eventually confirmed that the trap is not directly targeting him, but is just linking itself to high levels of magic and targeting it when detected, Lars decided to just follow the links back to the source, as it will surely be his way out of this. As he finally got the hang of it, Lars couldn't even stop smiling, as he didn't know magic could even do such a thing. He feels really amazing that Tesla was able to set this up on her own, which made him admire her even more. Eventually, after a few minutes of constantly avoiding as many traps as he could, Lars finally made it to the goal, where he looked for the golem Tesla was telling him about. He got a little confused as he wasn't able to find the golem at first. Little did he know that the golem he was looking for was just right below him. As it turns out, this golem was actually set up like another trap, so if he hadn't realized it earlier, he would have been crushed to death already. Now that he had finally found the source of the magic, Lars didn't even hesitate to cut it off. As soon as he finished knocking down to Golem, Tesla immediately commended him for a job well done. Now that he had finally purified his own magic, Tesla went on to ask him again if he wanted to be a great sage, to which Lars immediately clarified that he didn't particularly want to. After that exhausting training, the only thing that's inside Lars' mind right now is that he wants to surpass Tesla and all of the S ranks in the future, which simply puts him on par with a great sage. For the following days, Lars has kept training. This time around, Tesla is starting to teach him some sword technique moves. Since that day in the old training grounds, Tesla couldn't help but be amazed at how smoothly Lars managed to cast a spell, creating his fire sword. After witnessing that, Tesla has ever since wanted him to maintain that one and cast one more. She wanted him to learn the art of wielding his weapons, multiplying them from one sword to many, since Tesla knows pretty well how useful this skill would be for Lars in the future. Since he aims to surpass every S-rank mage there is, Tesla informs him that one of those S-ranks he declared to surpass is Luda, also known as the Crimson Knight. The whole world knows him as the mage who can wield up to 10 fire swords at the same time, making Lars a bit nervous to fight and surpass him now. Knowing that fire sword is just a sword range magic that any beginner could do, Tesla wants Lars to learn how to cast as many swords as he could, since this is the only way he would be able to use the sword in a combat-level scenario, making it an intermediate or even advanced magic. So for Lars to be able to cast as many swords as he could, he would have to make them fly first. That is why, 10 days after his training in the old grounds, Tesla had been teaching him the proper technique on how to make his sword float. Now that he has managed to do so, Tesla tells him that he just needs to imagine the sword growing wings and flying, since by doing so, Lars can turn short-range magic into long-range. Lars's magic was so strong that he ended up causing the sword to fly. Although this is such good news, Tesla still reminded him that if he is not able to maintain the sword, there is no point in doing any of this. To ensure that he has extreme concentration, Tesla decided to give him a break. Meanwhile, at the Acre Central Library, Lars decided to learn more about the Crimson Knight, Luda. After reading publications about him, Lars found out that Luda was actually a member of the Royal Mages Guild who specializes in fire magic. As he was roaming around the library, the librarian ended up calling him out, telling him to stay away from the door that leads to a special room. Immediately, Lars moved away and was in awe just thinking that magic libraries even had this kind of thing. On his way out of the library, a girl accidentally stumbled upon him, causing them both to fall. The girl didn't even hesitate and apologized for not looking out, but upon realizing that she was bleeding, Lars immediately started to get concerned. Although the girl assured him that there was nothing to worry about, Lars insisted on helping and even went on to cover her wounds. As they were about to part ways, the girl shocked Lars when she suddenly went straight to the forbidden door, disappearing with the use of magic. Because of this, for the rest of his training, Lars ended up thinking about that girl, quite unsure if she was even real. He tried his best to brush the thought out of his mind and just focus on his training. But as he makes his routine one-lap run around the city, he comes across a woman who is training with her sword in a deserted area in the forest. To his surprise, the girl actually noticed him staring and even started jokingly calling him a creep. Based on his expression, the girl immediately knew Lars had an interest in the sword. So even though she had only met him a few seconds ago, the girl asked him to try her sword. Shaking, Lars doesn't even know what to do as the girl throws him a sword made of lead. According to her, as long as Lars continuously swings this sword 10,000 times a day, he will ultimately become strong. So to test it out, Lars tried to execute one move, and he ended up regretting it since the sword was too heavy for him to even lift. Although the whole encounter was unexpected, Lars did have quite the workout. Eventually, after his routine training, Lars heads back to his accommodation to take a rest. As he was preparing to take a bath, he couldn't help but wonder about the weird girls he met today, since their elusiveness reminded him of Tesla a little. Over the next couple of days, Lars continued his training with Tesla. Although he still has a long way to go, Tesla is quite proud that Lars's magic control is looking a lot better than before. As they continue their training, a special transmission of magic suddenly appears out of nowhere, delivering some sort of letter for Tesla to read. As soon as she sees what's written on the paper, Tesla's expression immediately brightens with her mumbling that someone she is waiting for has finally returned. So even if their training session hasn't ended yet, Tesla and Lars immediately had to go to the Magic Guild to meet this someone. As they got there, Lars was a bit surprised to see that the guild was filled with a lot more people than usual. As it turns out, Shale, the guild expert on ancient magic literature, has returned from the ancient ruins, making mages excited and hopeful that they will be able to get their hands on any magical artifacts for appraisal. Tesla, in particular, is hoping to score a spell book. She is so determined to get her hands on one of these magical books that she has already started saving 2 billion ruts for bidding. Although there are a lot of mages here, Tesla is only concerned about one guy since the last time she had a bidding war against him. She ended up losing. Eventually, time passed, yet Shale is nowhere to be found. Already getting a little frustrated and impatient, Tesla decided to just give up. On their way out, the same girl that Lars bumped into back in the library the other day comes rushing towards Tesla, telling her that something bad has happened. The girl, who turns out to be Shale, looks really stressed, so Tesla tries to calm her down and ask her what happened. As she was about to reveal the issue, a loud explosion was heard, and to everyone's surprise, the guild was actually under attack. Inside the Magic Guild, the number of wounded mages is starting to rise. As the monsters started appearing out of nowhere, attacking everyone, the mages worked together to ensure everyone's safety. While the others evacuate, one of them notices something that explains the whole situation. As it turned out, someone had cast a summoning magic inside the guild, causing this much chaos. So while the uproar is still ongoing, the other mages in the East Wing decided to conduct a meeting. The leaders of the guild were then informed that 100 of their men are confirmed to be wounded, and half of the building is in ruins. Considering how grave the situation is right now, one of the leaders suggested that they should ask the main branch for help, but one of the leaders strongly disagrees with this, as this may embarrass their branch. As the group starts to have a discussion on what should be done, the Acre branch director, Galler, orders everyone to silence themselves. Feeling quite disappointed that they have failed to protect the citizens of the city, Galler orders everyone to gather up all the mages who are still mobile at once, as they need to put together a party and take down the enemy as soon as possible. Meanwhile, at the Central Wing reception hall, seeing how stressed Shale is, Lars immediately tried to attend to her needs and checked her wound from the other day. Remembering that Lars was the man she bumped into at the library, Shale immediately apologized to him for making him worry. Then, moments later, the guild director enters the room, informing everyone that they will be forming a party to track down the enemy. When asked to step forward if they had confidence in their abilities, almost every mage in sight volunteered to be part of the said group. But before they go on and start their hunt, Galler also reminds everyone that the information he is going to share with them should not leave this room at any cost. After everyone agrees to do so, Galler goes on to show them a piece of the summoning circle that one of the mages found earlier on the floor of the guild hall. With this, Galler is certain that the enemy most likely entered several rooms containing magic barrier stones and formed a summoning circle directly on the floor of the room, and eventually used the summoning to destroy the stone. After doing so, the enemies must have also set up a magic attack to go off from outside the guild, which gives the guild the idea that the enemy they are chasing is not only a mage, but also a member of the magic guild. With this information, everyone in the room is starting to get a little suspicious of their comrades, as one of them might be a traitor. As everyone starts to wonder who this traitor might be, Shale, of all people, then reveals that she might actually know who this traitor is. With such a sad tone, Shale explained that on her way back from the ruins, his party was attacked, and the attackers stole a rare artifact. Since she was so concentrated on the findings of the investigation that she didn't notice the attackers coming, and it was too late when she sensed their presence. As she rushed to the guild to ask for some help, the magic she sensed then felt just like the magic that attacked the guild. And before she even realized it, a pentagram, which is a sign of a black mage, was actually placed next to her. Upon hearing that a black mage might be standing beside them right now frightens everyone, and for the first time, Lars actually witnessed Tesla trembling in fear. Now that Shale has already mentioned it, Tesla goes on to ask her what exactly the attackers stole from her. To everyone's surprise, it is actually a spell book, and it's an ancient one at that. Since she was pretty suspicious that they stole it since she wasn't able to decode it yet, Shale decided to go to the restricted area of the library to look for clues, but she wasn't able to find anything. Although Shale is a known and powerful mage, she is still prohibited from entering that room. But since this is a state of emergency, Galler let it pass and allowed her to investigate the situation again. But aside from Shale, Tesla is also eager to get that spell book no matter what, after all. It was the reason why she came all the way here anyway. Considering both Tesla and Shale are high-ranking warrior mages of the guild, Galler ended up appointing them to form the party. After hearing Shale's explanation, it was pretty obvious why the black mage wanted to attack the guild, and that is to stop Shale from coming after them. That is why Galler promises everyone that whoever completes this mission will get a special reward. So aside from Tesla and Shale, Galler is also hoping that other mages will volunteer to find the enemies. Although the reward should be big, the other mages couldn't risk it, considering the one they are after is actually a black mage. As everyone is contemplating whether they should do it or not, Lars also starts to wonder why everyone's so scared of this black mage. Then out of nowhere, Tsubaki, the girl that Lars saw in the forest the other day, steps in and volunteers to join the party. As it turns out, Tsubaki is actually an S-rank solitary samurai, and seeing her joining Tesla and Shale, Galler has never been more confident and assured that they'll be able to find the enemy in no time. Now that the party is finally complete, Galler tells everyone to take turns in defending the guild hall and make use of their skills, and put everything they have into rebuilding. As everyone finally goes to their respective places, the three S-rank girlies go on to catch up with one another while also slightly discussing like rivals, making Lars wonder if these three were friends before. As soon as Tsubaki notices Lars, she couldn't help but say hi to him again. Realizing that these two actually knew Lars somehow, Tesla finally introduced him as her apprentice, and since he is still her student, Lars will be joining the party automatically as support. Lars really can't believe that he will now be working with some of the strongest women in Acre. Knowing that this party is far stronger than any other party he has seen before, Lars made a decision to ensure that he does everything he can to hold them back, both for their sake and for the people of Acre. So even if he is still an amateur, with much dedication, Lars will do his best as he can't allow those black mages to continue being free to do what they want. But before they start their important mission, the girls decide to freshen up first and take a warm bath together. During their bath time, Tsubaki is quite curious to know why Tesla takes on Lars as her apprentice, considering it is common knowledge that Tesla has always been more of a lone wolf than everyone else. Tesla was quite speechless for a while until she eventually revealed that it was because she was just simply curious about him. Shale didn't even let this moment slide and started teasing Tesla, stating that she might have already fallen in love. Instead of getting all defensive, Tesla just blushed a little and explained that she is merely interested in Lars' potential. However, she couldn't deny the fact that she actually feels at ease whenever Lars is around, which the other two girls term as love. Moments later, the group prepares to head on their journey. Since Lars ended up coming late, he apologized to everyone for making them wait. The girls didn't mind it at all since they were also taking a dip in the magic restriction pool. As they finally took a closer look at Lars, they were stunned to see the mountain of luggage he brought. To avoid making the girls worry, Lars explains that since he doesn't know how long the search for the culprit would take, he decided to be as prepared as possible, making everyone speechless. This is the first time they have ever met a mage who is actually thinking like this. At this point, Tesla finally informs them that he actually feels a little nervous since this is the first time in a while that he would be working in a big group again. Tsubaki and Shale were quick to assure him that there was nothing to worry about and even told him that there was no need for him to match their skills. After this, Shale goes on to cast a spell, creating a boat. She strongly believes that the culprit headed north, and based on her calculations, the culprit isn't able to use transportation magic, so he must have escaped from the guild on foot. If that is the case, he would have taken the shortest route out of the country, which means he would have used a boat to escape across the Utis River in the north. After crossing it, they would be taken to the Arbos Valley, which is referred to by many as a dangerous dungeon. With this information, the group eventually went ahead and started their journey. During the ride, Lars starts to get curious about these so-called black mages. However, as he went on to ask the group about it, the three went silent for a second. Shale then goes on to explain that for white mages like them, black mages are equivalent to taboo praise. To put it simply, black mages are a group of heretics. They don't view others as humans and believe anyone who isn't a mage is a subhuman, hence why they aim to exterminate all humans at all costs. To achieve their ugly ambitions, they even perform human experiments. Because of this, the girls are extra worried for Lars' safety, considering this is his first time encountering one. However, Lars was quick to assure them that there was nothing to worry about since he also wanted to fight these enemies of theirs himself. He even added that if they get in his way, he'll use it as an opportunity to let loose his uncontrollable magic. Although these are such big words for a newbie to say, Tsubaki and Shale were hyping Lars till the end. Eventually, they finally made it to the valley where the Shale magic power started to fail, which caused them to fall to the ground. Now that they have landed at the bottom of the valley, the group is quite worried about how they will be able to continue their journey, considering their magic is sealed down here. Among the girls, Shale really looks the most worried, considering she is the only one who doesn't have a weapon. So if anyone were to attack them right now, with her not having any magic power, she'd really be cooked. So Tsubaki tried to calm her down, telling her that all of them are pretty much on the same boat as she herself can't even remove her sword from its sheath. Despite the situation, the group still tried to act strong just to console Lars. Realizing that losing their magic is almost enough to bring a mage to the brink of despair, Lars knows that it must be really hard for them as well. So with much effort, he tried to console them as well, trying to act cool and optimistic, telling everyone that they'll surely figure something out as long as they are all together. This small gesture of kindness really helps the group calm down, and now that they have managed to brush off any worries, they start to think of a game plan. Since their magic only got weaker when they got lower into the valley, Tsubaki speculates that the mist might be what sealed their magic. So without hesitation, Lars rushes to the top of the rocky cliff, trying to confirm if Tsubaki's theory is right. When he finally got to the top, he was surprised that Tsubaki was actually spot on. So without hesitation, he went ahead and blew away the mist with his power. His power was so strong that Tsubaki and Shale had doubts about whether he was actually a beginner or not. Now that they are able to somehow use some of their magic, it is also the same moment they all realized that Tesla is nowhere to be found. The three immediately start to move and actually look for Tesla. Thinking about it, Lars did remember Tesla jumping off the boat for some reason, which means she was able to use her magic despite the mist. Although unsure what was happening, Shale was so shocked when she saw that the boat was still in one piece. Considering the height they fall from, this boat should have been smashed into pieces already. With things starting to get weirder than they already are, the group rushes to look for Tesla as soon as possible before the enemies find her before they do. Then, all of a sudden, a sweet smell starts covering the whole area, so the group decides to find its source. To their surprise, Tesla was lying unconscious on a field of flowers. As Lars was about to take her, a woman named Ludo eventually introduced herself as the Black Mage. When Lars released his power a while ago, Ludo was quite intrigued to know more about him. But before she could even do so, Tsubaki tells her to set Tesla free already, which is something that Ludo doesn't want to do. Tsubaki is already starting to feel extra frustrated, and as she was about to attack, Lars tried to calm her down. The Black then explains that she couldn't simply let Tesla go after knowing how strong she is. As it turned out, Tesla already noticed the mist's ability to absorb magic as soon as it appeared. However, as she tried to protect the group by trying to blow away the mists, she ended up using all of her magic and fell right into Ludo's mind. With Tesla finally in her hands, Ludo would do everything to ensure it stays that way till the end. So even if she fails to make Tesla her comrade, Ludo would still rather make her personal plaything. Lars then had the craziest idea of sacrificing himself to take Tesla's place. Quite fascinated by it, Ludo comes closer to him, ordering him to show her his real power. While she is busy doing so, Shale managed to send her familiar towards Tesla, giving her extra power that enabled her to move again. However, Tesla starts to feel a weird coldness within her, so Tsubaki was quick to move and cut down all the remaining strands of magic Ludo has on Tesla. With this, Ludo's full attention is now on Lars already. As she starts to cover him with strings of power, she is so confident that Lars will be all hers already. But to her surprise, Lars ended up shutting her out, and with such a confident smirk, Lars went ahead and poured all of his power towards Ludo. At first, Ludo looked like she was enjoying the moment, but as Lars' power kept coming in, the satisfaction she was feeling started to cause her so much pain. Seconds later, the Black Mage that everyone is afraid of got disintegrated by a mere beginner like Lars. However, it turned out that the one Lars was fighting was just a golem since Ludo prefers to hide in the shadows. Despite that, Shale was still amazed by how amazing Lars managed to blow that golem to bits. Then, unknowingly, Tesla ended up revealing to the two that it must be because of Lars's platinum-type power, as its strength is unfathomable. Upon hearing this, the two girls were just shocked beyond comprehension, and even started asking Tesla for the reason why she didn't tell them about it earlier. Realizing that her actions had caused the group much trouble, Tesla immediately apologized to everyone, and thanks to Lars' power, Tesla managed to regain her energy in no time. However, for some reason, she still feels like something is off. So to make sure, Tesla decided to dig deeply into this. Based on the makeup of the golem, she is sure that the Black Mage must specialize in earth magic too. So using her power, Tesla checked the ground thoroughly, which eventually led her to find the ugly-looking Black Mage everyone is afraid of. Tesla managed to find where the enemy was because she also specialized in earth magic. On top of that, it wasn't really hard to locate where the dark magic is coming from since the Black Mage's magic is so sinister that it stands out no matter what. Compared to how she made the golem look like a while ago, the real Black Mage looks like she came straight out of a horror movie. Now that she has been found, she immediately tries to take down the group using her magic. However, no matter how much she tried, her magic didn't work at all. As it turned out, just like what Lars did a while ago, Tesla also made a barrier of her own, and this barrier only allows the casting of white magic spells. At this point, the black mage had no escape and was eventually taken into custody. The group didn't even waste a minute and immediately asked the black mage regarding the spell book. With much cockiness, the black mage tried to keep her lips sealed, but when the group, especially Lars, was about to torture her already, the black mage finally spoke. According to her, the demon Formido's resurrection is now upon them. Formido, the demon, has driven the world to ruin with his terrifying magic power until he was sealed in a shrine by the first sage. So if Ludo is telling the truth, the demon that rampaged through town hundreds of years ago is now about to get resurrected. To make things worse, Ludo did manage to decipher the spell book, which was full of demon scriptures. She stole from Shale and gave it to a man who really wanted to use it. At this point, Ludo starts laughing evilly, just thinking that the same man is probably rampaging his way through town right now. Upon hearing this, Lars and the others finally realized that they were actually tricked, and they just fell right into the enemy's trap. Meanwhile, back in town, everyone starts to panic when a massive demon is seen coming their way. The soldiers immediately worked together and let all the people evacuate calmly. Most of the townsfolk are not even scared at all, thinking that there are mages and warriors who are here to protect them. Moments later, Laswell, the man who used the demon Formido's power to take this form and become immortal, went on to attack the walls, and within seconds, everyone was down. Meanwhile, the others were shocked when they heard his name, since Laswell is actually a mage who was banished from the Magic Guild not long ago. That is why, because of his anger, he decided to take down the Magic Guild together with the whole town. As he was about to attack the place, Lars and the others finally made it on time. Seeing the color of their capes, Laswell immediately knew they were all white mages, and this itself angered him even more. Upon realizing that they are fighting with Laswell, the girls finally knew the reason why he is doing this. Despite his wrongdoings, the girls decided to still treat him as an ally and bring him back to his senses. So to ensure that everything goes smoothly, Tesla tasked Shale to seal Laswell's power and take the boat lower, while on the side, Tsubaki takes care of the close attacks. Considering Laswell has now committed a great sin, Tesla cast a spell that will ensure Laswell's body shall never see the heavens. Within seconds, endless chains start appearing, keeping Laswell in place, and with Shale's magic, Laswell has now been stopped from moving completely. Despite him getting knocked over, Laswell looks rather amused by the fact that the strongest of all mages in town is here to fight him. Knowing that the power of the demon has given him the strength this strong mages are afraid of, Laswell gets all cocky and states that his power now is equal to even the great sage. Hearing him speak so desperately made the girls quite sad, so Lars decided to talk to him with much compassion, telling him that even though he doesn't know him completely, but since Laswell is an S rank, Lars expresses that he genuinely respects him, as he is the level of the mage Lars is aspiring to be. Hearing Lars say this stunned Laswell, since never in his life had someone actually told him that they respected him for who he is. As Lars continued to state that whatever it is that happened between Laswell and the guild that made him seek out this power, Lars reminded him that there are people out here, mages who still call him their ally. Lars tried to make him understand that everyone seeks power, but not in this kind of way. After realizing his mistakes, Laswell calmed down a bit and started asking Lars for advice on what he should do next, now that there was nothing left for him to live on. Lars was quick to tell him that as long as they take down this demon, they'll be able to help him get back on the right path. But before Laswell can even surrender, the demon itself starts taking over, but this time around, it is much stronger and powerful. With things getting a lot worse now, Tesla decided to leave everything to Lars. As stated in the history books, Tesla would like Lars to try stopping the demon Formido using the flame sword of pure gold. But before doing so, Lars decided to take off the moon ring to ensure that his powers were not restricted. After all, he is certain that if he doesn't use as much power as he could, he won't be able to save Laswell and the town of Acre. But before he could even take off the ring, the girl steps in and tells him that they'll let their magic flow into the ring to offset its restriction. which will not require Lars to take off the ring anymore. As everyone starts to give it their all, combining their power with the moon ring, Lars is now able to aim his power in the right direction. Because of this, within just a few seconds, Lars managed to defeat the demon with just one atomic blow that illuminated the whole town, causing everyone to hail him as the second greatest sage they've ever seen. Now that's all for today's video. Comment Lars if you want to see what's next in Lars' journey into becoming the greatest sage in the world. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. As always, thanks for watching.